After reviewing why research integrity is important and what does it mean, we will review how research integrity and ethics are core concepts in all the stages of your research and afterwards, starting with the process before the data gathering. Ethics are an integral part of all the stages of your research and throughout career, so it's important to take this into consideration. Research integrity in your research must be considered before the studies are conducted and even designed. For example, you can think about what are the implications of your research question. Have you thought through possible ethical implications of your research question or the method that you will use? Now we will review some key concepts and ideas that you need to be aware when you're preparing your application for the ethic commitment and also before the data gathering. The first concept that we will review is the concept of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is a situation in which a university member has an interest which might compromise that university member obligation to the university or to any other body with which the university has a relationship, for example, a funding body. For instance, if the interest might provide an incentive to the university member which affect their action, or where the university member has the opportunity to affect or influence a university decision. In other words, it means that you have a conflict and you have to decide if the action that you're going to take are going to be ethical or you actually have another kind of intentions when you're making some choices in terms of your research or academic choices overall. The interest could be financial or non-financial. So could be money, but also having a better status position or other kind of rewards that are not necessarily money. The university has a very clear code about this topic, and you can find it in the research section in the document that is associated with the research. Another important concept is the concept of open research and reproducibility. Open research compromises openness throughout the research cycle, through collaborative working and sharing and making research methodology, software, code, and equipment freely available online, along with the instruction for using it. Open research includes making publication freely available online, as open access, in addition to the underlying research data, that is called open data. Open access to research publication and data means that these are freely available to be viewed and downloaded by anybody with an internet connection, anywhere in the world, without having to log in or pay. Open access benefits individuals not affiliated with institutions that buy access to journal content. This can include researchers in developing countries, practitioners such as health workers, government, and members of the public. I like to think of open research as our research being an open book. We can register all the steps of our study and see how our journey has been. And also we can share with others this journey and contribute to the scientific community. Therefore, open research, and especially the term of pre-registration, is going to be important before the data gathering, because we're going to state what we're going to do. This is important in terms of research integrity, because there is a lot of conflict regarding to the idea of changing your hypotheses or changing some things when you are aware that the results are not what you expected. Pre-registration is a way to avoid this, to avoid what is called HARKing, where HARK stands for hypothesis after result is known, which means you generate the hypothesis after you got the result. This is unethical because violates a fundamental principle of communicating scientific research honestly and completely. Next, we are going to review how the pre-registration portals work. This is an example of the OSF registration portal. You can see the information that you need to provide in your pre-registration. It is important that you do your pre-registration before gathering the data, or at least before accessing to the data. You can see that you need to think about your variables, analysis, how you will recruit participants, and so on. So it's an interesting exercise to think about what you're going to do before your research. Also, it's important to acknowledge that you can also make change and amendments of your registration. For example, maybe you say that you're going to work with 300 participants, but you cannot really reach that number. Therefore, you can change and say that you only could reach 100 participants and explain your reasons. So it's not that it's set on a stone. You can make change, and these changes are going to be registered and are going to be part of the history of the registration that you did. Let's say that your study is designed and that you feel that it's ready to be conducted. The next step is to submit it to the ethics commitment. The university used the WorkTry platform. Now there is a screenshot on the slide that shows how the platform works. To access the system, you have to visit the website exeter.worktry.com. The link is also in the resource document. And you can log in using your university single sign-on details, your user name. Most staff and PGR, PGT, and undergraduate students will have been set up with access automatically. But if you have any issues with login or if you need further guidance, you can visit university site that could help with this, also in the resource document. This management system will help academics and researchers and students to manage the full life cycle of their research and its impact digitally. This is an example of the portal. You can manage your ethics application and reviews, and you will need to complete each application considering key information about your study, which is actually quite similar to the one that's asked in the pre-registration website that I showed before. They're going to ask you about the participants, the analysis that you will conduct, how you will manage the data, and so on. In this system, your supervisor is the one that can submit your application, so keep them updated with your process in your ethics application. The ethics application process is a key part of your PGR journey. But when does a project require ethical approval? Always. Always with all research involving human participants, their data or tissue, and/or animal. This does not include clinical audit, service evaluation, literacy, or artistic criticism. Researchers are expected to consider the environmental, political, social, religious, cultural, and legal implications of their work. The university website, on the link that is in the research document, show a very detailed description about who and when do you need to apply for the ethics. Also, it's important to discuss this with your supervisor in case you have any doubt or any question about it. When submitting your application to the WorkTry portal, additionally to all the information that you need to provide in the portal, you also need to upload different documents. For example, participant information sheets, like recruitment materials, information sheet, leaflet, and consent recording methods. It's going to be a signed consent form, research notice, audio is going to be done through a website. You need to consider identification and recruitment process and inclusion and exclusion criteria. And also, it's important that you include the university consent form templates that are available in the university website. Also, any supporting document must be in a lay language and appropriate helpful for the audience that is intended. Actually, in some cases, you require extra ethical application. You have to contact the Research, Ethics and Governance Office as early as possible if your research considers any of the subjects that are described now. For example, Her Majesty Prison Service, the NHS patients, staff facilities, Ministry of Justice, and so on. It's important that you do this because you not only need the approval from the university, but also from this institution.